Hello, everybody, and welcome back to NCAA 2005. And we are finally at the end of this complete disaster of a first season taking over the Idaho Vandals. I figured it would be kind of a disaster, but I was kind of hoping that maybe the team was just decent enough and the sunbelt was just bad enough that we could squeak out maybe 3 or 4 wins. Did not happen. We didn't win a single sunbelt game, actually. And I can't believe we actually won a game, period. One game against Eastern Michigan, which somehow did better than we did. So they lose to us, but not, all around. So someone commented and wanted to know the point differential. I didn't see a place where you could just get the point differential, but I did do the math. We scored 200 points exactly on the year, and our defense gave up 529, which is good for a point differential of negative 329. I don't know where that ranks in all of FBS history or even Idaho history. I tried kind of Googling that. I'm not really sure how to Google that question. Maybe it's on a football reference page somewhere, but I couldn't really find it. But negative 329 is your point differential for this season. So moving on ahead through the stats, there's not a ton of stats to really look at and kind of extract a lot of. Our quarterbacks did bad. None of our receivers or running backs really generated a whole lot of anything. We're losing our best receiver anyway to graduation, so there's not something to look into there and be maybe there's something. No, there's nothing there. It's gone. Our O-line did terribly protecting the quarterback, which we did see in a lot of games. I edited out a lot of sacks, but we did see a lot of the pressure get to our quarterbacks. Defensively, I guess there's a little bit here to look at. This sophomore right outside linebacker that we have at number 28 did get Sunbelt second team All-American honors. And he led the team in tackles with 80. And then our left end, who was an All-American heading into this year, junior, he got 13 sacks and 24 TFL. So he was very disruptive. And then we have a freshman lead the team in INTs. So number 8, who was our best cornerback, one of our best defensive players, he's graduating, and he had 3. So and then our All-American kicker had a terrible year. He had a disaster season. So that's kind of where things stack up. So there are some things maybe to look at, but it's not a complete wash. But here's a look at the Sunbelt. North Texas, of course, wins the Sun Belt, going perfect inside of it. Louisiana Monroe actually has a pretty shockingly good season. New Mexico State finishes 6-6 on the year, but 4-1 in conference, so they finished third. Arkansas State wins all of its games in conference and nothing else, so they go 4-7. And then Tennessee State finishes 6-5. It goes 4-4 in conference. Kind of interesting, man, because a lot of these teams don't play full 12-game schedules still. That's a thing with the Sun Belt in the earlier NCAA games, but I guess it kind of carries over here. Not a lot of the teams play full 12-game schedules, so you'll see a lot of mixed win-loss records with conference records. It's kind of weird. But we're the only team that didn't win a conference game, so that's just important to note. LSU's your national champions, and they sit atop the rankings. Michigan, who won the Big Ten, finishes second after presumably beating USC in the Rose Bowl, which I think is true to life, too. Not Michigan winning, but I think USC did play Michigan in the Rose Bowl. But Tennessee is third. Kansas State drops to fourth. USC rounds out the top 5. Then from 6 to 10, you got Florida, Iowa, South Carolina, Miami, and then Oklahoma falls to 10 after losing to Pitt. Texas A&M is 11th, Wisconsin is 12th, Auburn drops all the way to 13th, NC State moves up to 14th, Texas drops to 15th after losing to South Carolina, Georgia drops to 16th after losing to Iowa, Pitt, who is your Big East champion after beating Oklahoma, moves up to 17th, and then Florida State moves up to 18th. With Fresno State, the WAC champions, at 19, and Virginia Tech not being ranked, moving up to 20 to round out the top 20. And then Purdue, Ohio State, who also was not ranked, shockingly enough, West Virginia, and then Marshall, who won the MAC, and then UCLA is going to round out the bottom. So Marshall at 11-2, somehow sandwiched between all these 3 and 4 loss teams. It's very interesting. So this is one of the new additions, I guess, to NCAA05's offseason that's different than the other games. You actually have to balance the amount of points and percentages that you use on training, discipline, and recruiting. So it's obvious what all of these factors kind of have. For a team like Idaho, we probably need to really bulk up on recruiting, which I didn't do because I wasn't really sure the system worked. So next season, I'm probably just going to devote a lot of points to recruiting because there's really not we have no points to recruit as Idaho, just none. So here's our graduating class. It's a lot of backup guys. There are a few starters within it, or people who just kind of had somewhat of an impact on the season, but for the most part, it's just a lot of bench guys because for some reason this team had a lot of sophomores and juniors starting, and a lot of seniors were backups. Towards the bottom of the class, there's obviously some bigger contributors like number 14 who are losing, and number 8, our cornerback, who's leaving. But ultimately, it's not a really terrible class of people leaving, but We do have a transfer request, so I think this is the game just kind of helping me out, just kind of giving us a gimme here. We have a backup quarterback from Oregon who wants to transfer and play for us. So, giving the old transfer rules, he's going to have to sit out for this season, but he is objectively better than anyone we have on the roster, and he's a sophomore, so we will still have a couple seasons with him moving forward. So, our recruiting class, and this kind of goes back to the whole recruiting points and how many we do or don't have. This is our recruiting class, guys. This is all I was able to get. With the points that we had to recruit at Idaho, I was only able to get 5 recruits. We basically needed to rebuild our receiving core because half of it left. Our linebacking core needed help, and then we also needed some help on the edge as well. And then we needed a backup running back, and we needed a fullback too, and I just was not able to get them. I actually even lost out on a couple of recruits. But we shockingly do not have the worst class in all of FBS. Somehow Utah State is better than us, having only 2 recruits, I guess because they have a 3 and a 2 star, and we only have 1 stars. But Kansas only gets 2 recruits, period. I don't even know how you can sustain a full team getting 2 recruits a year. I'm not sure how we can sustain only getting 5 recruits a year. So we also moved to position changes, which is a new thing in this game. And Clay Payton, one of our new recruits, is a lot better on the edge. So he's kind of sitting as just like a depth linebacker right now. But he could be our starting right end at 65 overall, which is a huge increase at that position. And so that's exactly what we went for when we put him on the edge. So we didn't fix that problem, but, it's definitely better than having a 55 overall there. So, and this is where the training points thing kind of comes in. So I didn't know what to do. I wanted to keep it all balanced because we need our team to increase every year, because the only way we're going to win more games is if the current base of players we have is continuing to increase. And as you can see, we have a lot of mid 60s, and we're starting to trend up towards the high 60s and low 70s. So maybe by year 3, we'll have a roster that might be capable of winning 4 or 5 games in the sunbelt, and that might be our best shot of actually cashing in on this roster. Otherwise, we're going to be just waiting on our freshmen to grow, and if we can't even recruit a full class to replace every spot on our NFL on a football roster, then it's not even going to matter. And you can see half our roster still didn't even get any benefits from training because we don't have that many points to train. So I'm both is a good thing to invest in because you need to recruit. We don't have enough points to recruit or anyone interested in recruiting, but we also need the players on the team to get better so we can even win games. So it's kind of a weird line to tote. But number 16 is going to start for us at quarterback. Number 7 is just behind him. So again, kind of a close race between all 3 of our quarterbacks. An option there. At running back, we have number 6 coming back for his sophomore season. Sees is 72. And then at fullback, we have number 80, who's a junior, who's going to be here at a 65 overall. We do have a backup behind him. I think I moved a backup tight end behind him. So number 12 is going to lead things in our receiving core, and then number 19, remember, fumbled a kickoff earlier in the season, is going to be right behind him at 68, and then 2 of our recruits are here at the low 60s and high 50s, hoping that maybe after this season they might grow a little bit more, but our receiving core is young now, so we can just kind of let them continue to grow and train to get better. We have 70 overall at tight end. Our left tackle's up to a 76, and he's only a junior. So we're starting to get better. You can see the overalls are starting to trend towards 70. We got a lot more 70s than last season. Our left guard's a 70. Our center is a 70. And a lot of these guys are young, too. So if we continue to put points in training, they will all get better. And we might not have to worry so much about recruiting if we could just cash in on the youth of this team right now. Our left end, this is his last year as a 90 overall. So, and then we have, of course, Clay Payton, who I moved on the right side. So he's a 65, which is 6 points better than the next closest guy. But defensive tackle is still a huge, huge hole, man. We have nobody there at that position. We're going to get no pressure to the quarterback probably at all. Number 27 is going to be our starting left outside linebacker. Middle linebacker is another situation where we just have nobody there. There's really just no one. I needed to recruit there. I couldn't get anyone to come. Number 28 is going to come back for his junior year as a 65 overall. So we're not completely exposed here. And then our cornerback class actually got a little bit better. So number 37 is going to come back for his sophomore season. And we recruited, we moved a freshman, Michael Harris, to cornerback, and he is a 70 overall. So 2 70s as our DBs. That's not terrible. Our starting free safety is 68. Our strong safety is a 72. See, so we have some numbers trending upward here, but there's not a lot of depth anywhere else. Some of the higher overalls on our team are seniors, so both our kicker and punter are gone. I don't even know if we'll be able to recruit that. We might even need to take walk-ons. It's going to be dangerous, guys. It's going to be scary. So here's a glance at our schedule moving into the 2005 season. So we're going to start things off at home, 2 home games with New Mexico and Boise State. Then we go on the road to Seattle to play Washington before coming home to play Utah State and our first conference game. Then we have New Mexico State, Louisiana Monroe, and Lafayette on the road before coming home to play Middle Tennessee State and Troy State. Then we're on the road to Arkansas State, and then we finish at home with North Texas and FCS Montana. So hopefully we can pick up a win against FCS Montana. I wanted an FCS team included because we need to fudge the wins as much as we can. They won't let me add multiple FCS teams, so we're just going to have to deal with this. I added New Mexico, maybe figured that might be a winnable game, but we will surely see. So hope to see you guys when we kick off our second season in Moscow, already ranked the worst team in FBS, taking on New Mexico.